Sex. It's one of the first activities humans ever engaged in. It's even been called the oldest profession. It's a constant in pop culture, and it's one of the most universally thought about subjects. But really, talking about sex can be so awkward, especially in church. And there's a long history there. Like, did you know that in 400 AD, some guy named Augustine concluded that sex was meant only for procreation and the penalties were even worse than those for murderers? That extreme thinking carried on throughout history, with the church having a heavy hand in how the whole world viewed sexuality. During the Enlightenment, philosophers started rethinking gender roles and why everyone was so uptight all the time. During the Victorian era, any form of sexuality was looked down upon and was identified almost exclusively with men and the lower classes. Then, in the early 1900s, sex became more prevalent again in movies, media, and music. They printed magazines about it in the 50s, and the 60s brought about the sexual revolution, which leads us to today. Sexuality is a driving thread in our culture. It's flinging across apps on our phones, every show we watch, and in most of the content we consume. As our flippant intake increases, the value, depth, and beauty actually decreases. God created sex, and He created us. Started out good, but what went wrong? At Southeast, we feel like we need to talk about it. We want to help undo some of the lies we've heard from culture, and even from the church. So starting this week, we're going to talk about sexuality and take a look at what God has to say about this tricky but beautiful subject.